Hi, there's a lot more people here than I expected to be here. I made this channel because I lost my inspiration to work on this project, and I really wanted to keep working on this project because I was really proud of it. And so I started posting little animated shorts about it, and then people started caring and asking for lore. So here we are, in the lore video. Yeah, this is weird. But I just want to say thank you very much because I very much so appreciate it. Yeah. The person I'm drawing in the background of this video is my version of the Irish mythological creature slash person slash whatever known as Lear. Lear, if you know anything about Irish mythology, is the person whose 4 kids turned into swans. Now, in my version, things are a little bit different because I just messed with the mythology a little bit. Because I wanted to, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. So I messed with the mythology a little bit and I made it a little bit more my own, but the bones are still there. If you want to know more about the original story, I'm going to leave a link to the Wikipedia page in the description of this video. Anyways, this is my version of the story. This is not the actual myth. This is just my version of the story. So, yeah. Lear's wife tried to kill Lear's kids because they weren't her kids and she was jealous of them. And so they got really scared and turned into 4 giant swans that then flew into an ice storm and died in the middle of the ocean. Hi, this is Editing Aster here. I completely forgot to mention a completely vital part of the lore. My version of the Fae, also known as the Soyga, aka what Lear is and what his kids were, can turn into giant monsters that take on the aspects of their more animalistic traits, aka his kids turning into 4 giant swans. So that's why they did that. They turn into Beheoth Core / these giant beasts. If they get too emotional, they can get too happy, too sad, too whatever. They just turn into giant monsters and they cannot turn back. Hence the giant swans. Anyways, back to the video. Their corpses sunk to the bottom of the ocean, and then Lear went to go find them again, raise them up from the ocean, and turned them into the island of the swans, or the Isle of the Swans, which is where my story takes place. So, the Isle of the Swans is essentially just fairyland. Yeah, it's just fairyland. The Fae in Irish mythology have a bunch of different names and stuff, and it's a whole thing. Again, I will be linking some Wikipedia articles in the description of this video if you're more interested in that. Essentially, the isle where my story takes place is on 4 rotting bodies of swans, which is a little wild to say, but I thought it was cool, so whatever. Anyways, the Fae in the book that I will be writing, or the Fae in the book, in the story that I'm working on, I guess, are called the Soyga. It is a play on the word sieg, which just means fairy in Irish. I essentially just misspelled the word sieg over and over again until I couldn't think of it as anything other than Soyga. So, yeah. The Soyga are creatures that are essentially just the Fae, but all of them are humanoid with some kind of animal trait, at least one kind of animal trait. All of the animal traits that they have to be vertebrates. Essentially, if the animal doesn't have a backbone, then that animal's trait cannot show up on a Soyga. For example, this is Kieran. He's got the traits of a deer, a wolf, probably a rat, I don't know what his deal with the tail is, and a turkey. The turkey I thought was just funny, but they're all animals that live in the forest because he's the king of the forest area thing. So yeah, his family all kind of look like this. Although the girls don't have antlers, obviously, because they're girls and that only, yeah. Essentially, all of the Soyga have some kind of animal trait. These are some other examples of Soyga. They're all different. They're all freaky. They're all cool. Okay, the Isle of the Swan has 14 different kingdoms in it that are all based off of something called the Caligny calendar. Again, link will be in the description for the Wikipedia page for this too, because it's also convoluted and weird. A lot of Irish mythology says that the fairy kingdom is based off of the different seasons, and I was like, that would be really cool, but I also don't want to copy ACOTAR for reasons. So I decided to go off a really old calendar that they found in nowhere, France, called the Caligny calendar, and I'm probably mispronouncing that, but I really don't care at this point, because I've just called it the Caligny calendar for so long, so whatever. but it's called the Caligny calendar. There are 14 different months, and I used those different months as different kingdoms in the Isle of the Swan. There is the 14 different kingdoms, or thrones as I'm calling them, on the Isle of the Swan are, and again, I am mispronouncing all of these, I guarantee you, but this calendar is so old at this point, I don't think anybody knows how to pronounce these, but these are what I'm calling them. The Simivisonos, the Elambivios, the Ecus, the Edrinos, the Ogornios, Giamionos, Dumanianos, Antharan, Anagantios, Rurios, Cutios, Simonios, Cantalos, and Cialos. So those are the 14 different thrones. Essentially, each of them have something to do with something. Simivisonios is the throne of the flowers in my version. Elambivios, forest. Ecus, meadow. Edrinos, fire/light. Ogrinos, the lake. Giaminos, the moon. Dumanios, the darkness. Antharan, caves, but that kingdom is weird and special. And the Ganthios, the ocean. Rurios, frost. Cutios, the rain. Simonios, the sun, specifically. Cantalos, song. And Cielios, silence. So those are the different ones. That's what they mean, essentially. But they're called the things on the map. So that's what they are, but, like, not quite, you know? That is the context. So I love how the context is probably going to be longer than the actual, like, character descriptions in this video. So finally, we are here where the story starts. This is Kieran. He is the king of Elambivios, or the Corion, also known as the Crown. He's the crown of the Elambivios. He is a Soyga. He's got deer antlers. He can sleep. He can walk through doorways, and he can lay down. He can do all of the things, I promise. I have thought about it. I understand. The reason why his antlers are that extra is because once when I was designing him, I asked my best friend how extra his antlers should be, and she said yes. So if you want to blame somebody for how extra his antlers are, you can blame her. Anyways, Kieran is the biggest coward anyone has ever met. He's extremely paranoid, and he's kind of a horrible person. He's not actually a horrible person, but he likes people to think that he's a horrible person. He is just a very paranoid thing. But he is the Corion. He is the most paranoid, cowardly person in the world. I say that with love. When he was 7 years old, he had a nightmare, and he went to go sleep in his parents' bed. That same night, someone snuck into their room and assassinated them both, leaving Kieran alive. He has no idea who it was, and also has no idea why he was spared. But he thinks that if he keeps his head down and does everything that his council says, that he will keep being spared the same fate as his parents. Now, Kieran's mother was actually a mortal woman. His father, Ornale, whisked her away from the French countryside in approximately 1600. Her name was Celie, and she loved her son and 2 daughters very much. Kieran has 2 sisters named Ethna and Brigitte. They are twins. I do not have drawings of them because I just have not drawn them. But one of them is a centaur. Because of her mortal nature, Kieran has a much bigger soft spot for mortals than a lot of other Soyga do, thus allowing him to form an attachment to the rabbit. She's a mortal who was changelinged, so essentially she was taken at a very young age by the Soyga because her parents would not stop bragging about how cute she was. And that is a literal piece of lore. A lot of fairy tales say that you should never brag about how cute your kids are because the fairies will take them. So I took that and I ran with it. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's so pretty that the fae took her. So that's kind of her deal. She was taken by the Corion of the Ogrinos when she was like 5. She was taken to be Brianna, the princess's companion, friend, mortal pet thing, I guess. I don't know. But she was raised alongside Brianna, and she learned most of the same things that Brianna did, including Kelpie racing, embroidery, and a bunch of other random stuff. She was essentially like royalty through association, I guess. But shortly after Brianna's father died and Brianna ascended the throne, it became increasingly obvious that the Edrinios Corion, also known as Ambrose, this guy, was trying to expand his territory east. Brianna suspected that the reason for this was to break through Onduv, which is this thing, the massive black wall that surrounds the Demonios throne. Now, the context behind Onduv is really, really long, and I almost included it in this video, but that would have taken 10 more minutes because there's a whole war and a whole thing, and it's really long, okay? And I will probably make a video on it, but it would need a whole other video. So yeah. Anyways, he's trying to get through Onduv, trying to get to the Dumanios, and nobody's seen the Dumanios in like centuries, essentially. Fearing the danger of her own lands, Brianna decided to seek out an alliance with the Elvos, also known as Kieran, but Kieran is stupid and doesn't know how to do politics because he's very young. So is Brianna, but she's like smart about it, I guess. So Brianna seeked an alliance from the Elvos, an Unseelie throne, and she knew that the Unseelie would be willing to go against the Edrenos. So Brianna decided to send the rabbit to the Elvos as a gift to their king. The rabbit was accepted by Kieran's uncle, Lycerin, and then given to Kieran as a companion. And so, yeah. And that's kind of where the story starts, almost. But a little bit, like, after that. So, like, Kieran and the rabbit are, like, really good friends. And then they end up in, like, a situationship type thing, like I said in the bird video. And then Kieran gets freaked out because he thinks that she's gonna, like, die somehow, ? Essentially, Kieran thinks that what happened to his parents is going to be what happens to him and the rabbit. So he assumes that he's going to get assassinated along with the rabbit eventually, and he does not want her to die because of him. And so he breaks up with her in like the worst possible way. He's a weird guy, guys. He's written by me, which means he has a whole myriad of issues, but his biggest is that he's stupid. So yeah, that's the context for my many videos that I've posted. Yeah, if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. This is really weird that so many people are subscribed to me, but I'm very happy about it, so thank you again. Again, if you're interested in a context video for the Onduv, then totally let me know. Yes, it is based off of the fold from Shadow and Bone. I was very inspired by that because I thought it looked cool. But anyways, if you have any questions about like the Soyga or anything like that, or the world itself, let me know. If you want more mythology stuff, let me know. I have an entire Microsoft Word document just about the mythology of this world, so if you want more, I definitely have more. But anyways, I will see you when I see you, and if I make more videos, I will make this into a playlist. So yeah, thank you, and goodbye.